I prefer to keep my life public and purposefully so that I can be a light to others that may follow behind. And I have, as I commented in my intro, that I have studied many modalities of healing, and most of them I've been in a counselor sort of way. So I feel that my story is one that can be a light to others on their way. So I prefer to be public. I prefer to be out and just be be free to ask whatever you want and I will answer. If I feel that the question is irrelevant or whatever, I will say that. But for the most part, I'm an open book.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
And you are a light, and even to me.
One more point. I did vacation with Pauline up in New Hampshire, and we had such a wonderful time together and everything. And the thing was that she is sending me pictures and everything so that I can include them in my blog site so that I can show that there is progression and there is hope for other people
Yay.
so that, they can always move forward.
Such a
That was my
beautiful
last
story.
blog was that, that I had met her and that we had corresponded and everything, and that I left it open that we would be getting together. So, and it went very well. And we said, I love you so many times back and forth. So I'm going to be moving to Londonderry. Yep.
Yay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I cannot express how excited I am for you. I am just overjoyed. And if you need somebody to help you along in sign language, I will be glad to meet with you bi-weekly if you want, and we can do 30 minutes or an hour of just learning some signs and practicing. I am more than willing to do that for you because I am just so excited. And also, I just love to teach the language. So if you want, if that's something you're interested in, I am more than willing to help you in that.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn the alphabet first so that, if I run into an area where I don't know how to say something like good morning, that I would be able to sign it,
Mhm.
you know.
Figure spell it.
So I mean, yeah, spell it. So I mean that I'm learning and she's helping me. So that is awesome.
And your phone can be your
Yeah.
friend too. I mean, you can dictate things into
There's
your
a
phone.
cat coming in.
It's okay. You can dictate things into your phone and
Yep.
and then show the writing too. I've done that with a colleague. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so cute.
So if we're kind of looking back to your earliest memories, can you tell us about some of your first memories or memory of feeling like the gender that you were assigned at birth didn't align with yourself, with what you knew of yourself?
That would probably have to go back to when I was about 6. And and I've heard a lot of transgender stories and everything, and a lot of people, it seems like it was around that same area of time, and I talk with my hands a lot. Um, So, it seems like, that was a time when people started to become aware, but knew that they would be rejected or whatever. I often got hit, um, beaten, whatever, when I expressed myself. I had limp wrists. I had, just the my mother said the way I held my lips one time, and it was just different things. And I knew I had to take my brothers and sisters around trick or treating one time, and I did that. And um, s- somebody actually turned and said, "I'm so happy to finally meet you, Mrs. Croft. Your kids are so wonderful." And I was like, um, yeah, they are. Thank you. But that was the whole thing, is that um, I've always been seen as feminine or whatever. Um, but I couldn't express it because I would get hit. My father was an alcoholic, so he often would hit us. And, it was a very difficult childhood and everything. But in the end, for some reason, I persevered through all of that, and I managed to stay a good person. And I even got involved with youth ministry when I got out of the Air Force, and I became a counselor at the Isaiah 11 of Middletown, Rhode Island, and I would travel around to all the different sites and everything. Um, and it was great. And like I said in my comments earlier, um, there was actually it was actually two times. I only mentioned one, but there were two times where I had a positive influence on kids, teens that were contemplating suicide. And in one case, I had tea with the young lady, and we sat and we talked for a while and everything. And she actually felt better after we were done. And she says, "I never thought to think of you like that." So, and then um, there was another young lady that she was having difficulty with her father, that they'd grown apart and everything. And I sat her down and I said, "Look, I want you to do this. I want you to go up to your father every morning. I want you to kiss him, tell him you love him, and I want you to try that for at least a week." And she did. And she broke down crying because she said that her dad gave her the biggest hug and told her that he missed her so much, and that he wanted her back in her life, in his life. And they became so close, and they started going out together all the time and everything. And you know I managed to bring the two of them together. So that's why I say, my words are healing words. A concierge, um, in Aztec medicine, that would be a counselor. Um, and I mean, that's what they had me doing as a youth minister, was being a counselor and reaching out to kids and trying to help them and everything. And, it was just amazing, that part of my life and everything, because, I even had one nun come up to me and tell me that she saw me as like Job, that I was always constantly being tested, but I always kept my faith. And, you know, it's a tough thing, especially, you know, when you have an alcoholic father and everything, and you're used to being beaten at home and everything. My mother broke my nose. You know, so I lived in a very violent um childhood. I still have issues with my lower back because I got thrown off a bridge one time and the kids then jumped on me as I was in the water. And so I have a lot of physical issues that are left over from all those times and everything, and all the abuse that I've had and everything. I've got a deviated septum from my mother breaking my nose. My brother broke my nose once. My other brother broke my nose once. So, you know, a very violent childhood. But no matter what, I stayed true to the person that I was. And I continued to try to be a healing um, person in bringing healing to others and trying to give them as much love as I could because I just love people. And I believe that saying of the Lakota, Mitaque Oisin, we are all related. And, you know, I see that and I want to live that. So that's why whenever I sign off um, my blog site, I say, my heart to your heart, one spirit. And, you know, I just feel that that's a way of giving people connection to me.
In spite of all of the violence and the chaos that surrounded you growing up, you emanate
Yes.
strength, calm, peace, wisdom, healing, and you're giving to others what was missing in your own life as a child.
Yeah.
Were you ever did your family ever encourage you to play with specific toys or do specific activities that were gender appropriate or what they wanted you to do? And did you ever yearn to or long to do something different that they discouraged you from?
Oh, I was adamantly told that I could not play mystery date. There was a game by Milton Bradley or something, and you know, who can it be? You know, it was a game by I think it was Milton Bradley or somebody, but you know, it was you were supposed to find your mystery date through it and everything. And you know, my cousins intervened and told me that there's no way I could play that game, that this is for girls. And I was always told, you know, I should be playing with GI Joes and stuff like that. So I didn't want to. So I kind of compromised in that I had a Howdy Doody doll. So I was learning ventriloquism. So it was just, you know, it was a way for me to be able to have a doll, um, but have a purpose for the doll. So, you know, I found ways around things. So, you know, I mean, that's been my life, is where I find obstacles and I find my way around them. And then I try to write about it so that I can provide inspiration for others so that they may find their way around things. So,
I found you. Can you?
I almost heard
So,
that
can you hear me?
just barely.
Is that better?
No, it's about normal.
Can you
Up
hear me?
the same.
Is this okay? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you and make
I
your
can
words out.
barely hear you, but it's okay.
Go
What?
ahead, Drew. Let's see if we can.
No. I can't hear nothing now.
Drew, do you want to try using the chat? I can, or I can hear you. I can repeat it back to Emma. It might be easier because I'm wearing the
Yeah.
earbuds. So go ahead and speak. I can just parrot it back.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
All right.
good.
I find you so incredibly inspiring, and I love being able to listen to you because I find so much wisdom whenever you speak. And it inspires me to do better. And I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
So the next question, you have mentioned before about being in the armed services, and then after that being a counselor, all this time living as your assigned birth, I assume. Knowing who you were. So how did that feel, having to go through living like that? And why was there a reason that it took you to get to where you are now? Like the time to get to where you were now, was it self-accepting, or was there other reasons behind it?
It's a very good question. But what I'll say about that is that while I knew who I was and I always wanted to be a girl, and sometimes even now I regret not having that moment in my life, but still I um I chose a different path. And part of going into the service and everything was it was kind of more like my um foreign legion. I was going to escape the violence in my house. So I was going into the Air Force because I figured I wasn't going to get involved in any fighting in the Air Force. Oh boy, I got assigned as a mobility sergeant. So I used to have to fly all over the place and set up tent city and stuff like that. So yeah, so it was a different um, situation, but um, the thing was that I had no role models back then. I mean, the closest you could get, the only one you knew about was Christian Jorgensen, and that was the only person that I was aware of that was transgender. And, I just, without role models to follow, and I think that's the other reason why I opted to be public on my website and everything, so that I could be that light for somebody else and show them the way and show them that it's not a um, that they're not an anomaly. That there is so much to it. And in some of my earlier blogs, I did cite a lot of the medical evidence that brought out the genetics and stuff like that. And when you think about it, my girlfriend, she's genetically deaf. It was passed down from her parents. So, or passed down from her mother, she said. So, the genetics is there, but people won't accept it. And I think that's a lot of what my blog site was intended to do, was to educate. By educating and informing, and starting with the very first one where I did Emma an Unlived Life. And I, at the end of that, I gave a list of why, the whys and wherefores, so that people could become more educated. And at the time, I was a Mason, and I was deep into Masonry. They were trying to groom me to be the commander of York Rite, or the Knight Templar. So I was the deputy commander in my council. I was the high priest in my chapter, and I was the sergeant major, or whatever the thing was. I was like third in line in commandery. And, I had all that going for me, and I ended up having to give it all away because I can't be a woman and be a Mason. So, I gave all of that up, and now I don't have to travel all over the place. That was a pain, having to go to all those meetings. But it just, there's just so much involved that, you got all the twists and turns and everything. So I just wanted to try through my blog site to be able to give people some insight, so that one, they're not knocking people who are transgender. They're not knocking people who are lesbian. I consider myself to be a lesbian. And, I want to use my site to educate and to try to inform people, to remove the ignorance, and hopefully remove the hatred.
Who was the first person that you told, and how did they react?
The first person that I told was my second wife, and it was a disaster. She wanted to destroy me, and she really did try. As a matter of fact, with the divorce, I had to give her a lump sum of 25,000 and pay her 150 a week for 2.5 years. So, it kind of really hit me financially, and I'm still paying on the loan on my 401k and paying all of that back. So she was out to destroy me. And, you know, my daughter and my son still talk to me and everything. As a matter of fact, my daughter, because my account got hacked, so I had to switch accounts and everything. And my daughter did send me a friend request, so we're back. So my son isn't on Facebook. He thinks it's foolish, so he's the smart one. So it just it's what it is, and we went through a horrible time, And it was so bad that my psychologist at the time wanted to have me committed to protect me from her because she was doing so much psychological damage to me that my mind at one point fragmented and I had 4 distinct personalities. So, I mean that's part of it is that, you know, you're under so much pressure and everything that, you just you're trying to cope. And it's hard enough when you're trying to deal with coming out and everything. But when you add that psychological abuse, it just was so bad. But in the meantime, I got involved with a group in Providence, and they wanted me to do a talk with a UU church in um, Newport. So I had to travel down to Newport to talk to the UU church because they wanted to be more embracing and more open. So I I was glad that I was able to take part in that and help out with that and everything. So that was just, was a lot of driving, but you know, and at the time I was living in Westport, so um, that wasn't too bad. But you know, it just, and I ended up, I lost my job because I came out and everything, and just my whole life was destroyed. So I decided to revert and go back to being what everybody wanted me to be. And it was destroying me. And I was highly suicidal. But in the end, um, I met uh, my third wife. Yeah, I'm racking them up. I'm becoming Zsa Zsa Gabor. Um, but I met my third wife, and um, she had noticed that there was always a dark cloud over me, that I was generally a happy person, but I always had that darkness over me. And she got on me one time, and I broke down and I told her what was going on. And at the time, I had lost a good friend, and he died, and I was sitting there listening to what they were saying about him at the memorial mass, and basically they were saying how genuine he was and what a big heart he was, and you know, and I was like, I am such a fraud, and I started beating myself up, and it just added to that dark cloud that was over me, so that when my wife pressed me and I finally broke down and told her, she says, well, we're going to do this, and this time there's no backing out, there's no going back. And she stood by me and helped me through all the stuff that I had to go through and everything. And I got my surgery in 2020, I think it was. And I just, and after that, she says, I think this is the end of us. So, despite being there for me through everything, she decided that that was the end, that she's going to live with a woman. So um, she ended it. And of course, it's still lingering because we haven't got the divorce finally.
You talk about being part of so many communities throughout your life, and a leader and a spiritual leader and guide, and then moving into different communities. So there was some picking up with new people, befriending new people in your life and leaving others behind. Just everything has a season, or situational friendships. And you've talked about your wife's reaction and your kids. If I would invite you, if you feel comfortable to, and if not, we will move on to talk about parents, cousins, aunts and uncles, any like friends who have seen you through, how that's been for you.
Well, the only real negative would be my godmother basically said that if God wanted me to be a woman, he would have given me earrings. What the hell that means, I don't know, but she's like in outside of that, I mean, my kids, as a matter of fact, my son and daughter are going to get together, and um, I'm supposed to go to their house, to my daughter's house, for a barbecue to celebrate my son and my birthdays, because mine's the 28th and his is the 30th. So we're going to celebrate our birthdays together. And she put out the invitation to us. So that at least they're staying a part of my life, but my wife has had no contact with me. Um, I see postings on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that from them. Um, but I'm not part of their lives anymore. So I'm moving on. I've chosen not to be bitter, because that's not my style, and just move on. And the only stopping point that I have right now is the divorce. If we were divorced free and clear, I would propose to Pauline right tomorrow. But it just because I mean, she'll even tell me, and granted, it's kind of a grunt or whatever because she's deaf and she never learned verbal skills, but she will tell me, "Oh, and to me, that means so much. And sorry, been talking for a while. But I just I just want to be loved. And here's a person that wants to love me, but I'm held back by the person who doesn't love me anymore, but yet doesn't want to do what's needed to be done to liberate me. So
You're a little bit stuck in that part of the process.
yes.
Your mic came off too. Did you want to interject?
Yes. Can you guys hear me? Making sure you can still hear me. Okay. Um, I would like to you have brought up a few times about being in the church and working with them, and now you say spiritual, and so has your faith and belief in God evolved since coming into yourself? Um, how does it look now? Are you thinking bigger than there is one God that you grew up learning and believing and loving, or is it still that one, or has it evolved into more of a universal? How is that looking for you now, or are you just completely removed yourself from the church and um think more as a spiritual being?
What an excellent, deep question. Um, yes, I see myself as more, I still, when I go down the street and I see roadkill, I say a little prayer for that animal. And I will say, Creator, please take the spirit of this animal to your heart and let him know, or let them know, that they are home. And to me, that little simple gesture of a prayer um, connects me to all things. And I try to maintain my spirituality because I am at heart a spiritual person. Um, I have studied many cultures, many different ways, many different theologies. I've studied Buddhism, I've studied Hinduism. Uh, One of my favorite koans from Hindu is there are many paths up the mountain, and the only one not getting to the top is the one who is running around and around telling everybody else they're on the wrong path. And it's a beautiful thing. And just like with uh, Buddha Siddhartha Gautama, he said, "Do not believe what you hear, not even as if it's from me or from your teachers, but know what is in your heart to be true." And to me, these are great teachings that we don't hear because theology, we see it as being Roman Catholic or Episcopalian or what have you. Whereas I opted to evolve beyond all that and open my heart to anyone who comes to me, thus being more Christian than most Christians, because I then keep my heart open and welcome, like welcome the children unto me. And, just like, was it the beatifications, the Beatitudes, where they talk about embracing people and loving people. And this is what Jesus was teaching. And Jesus, he went off in his missing years to India, and there's a Gospel of Issa that talks of Jesus's time. And he was teaching the untouchables that they were equals. And the Brahmins decided that they needed to terminate Jesus. And they his allies spirited him back out of the country and everything, and he returned to Jerusalem. And, but it was that whole thing where it's all about heart. And to me, I keep my heart open to anybody. And maybe that's my fault to some point. That, my heart is always open to everybody so that, you know, people sometimes take advantage of me. And, you know, I'm not going to close my heart off because other people are jerks or whatever. So that's where I am spiritually.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question. Let me see if I can remember it. It just slipped my mind.
You're getting old, Drew.
So old. My girlfriend and I were laughing this weekend because I was listing all my ailments and I was like, I've told you before, like my body is like in its 80s and like whatever.
I'm
But yeah,
63.
I've got a lot of ailments, and I mean I've had them for years, so it's my body is giving up. But
Just as long as you don't.
no, I've got too much to do to give up. Okay, I remember now. So, do you, now that your spirituality has evolved, and more aligned to what I believe as well that Jesus taught and said, while walking the earth, because he was not a hateful person, and he loved and accepted everybody. How do you handle people who use the Bible against gays and against transgender, like when we very much know, like the Bible states, they use, I believe it's Deuteronomy, to say no man should dress as a woman and no woman should dress as a man. However, it's a modesty issue because of the clothes back then and not a transgender issue. So how do you handle those?
Fortunately, I haven't really run across those instances, but I just, I point out that, did you have a lobster dinner? Did you have shrimp? Wait a sec. What? Did you? What? You did? You know, there's a lot in Deuteronomy, and fortunately, I've read the Bible a few times. So knowledge is a sword. So when I encounter that kind of aggression, then I can turn it back around, and I say, well, if you're wearing clothes of two different threads, then we have to stone you. You need to be killed. I'm sorry. And then they're like, what are you talking about? Well, it says right there in Deuteronomy, if you wear clothes of two different threads, you need to be stoned. Oh, well, that affects me. That doesn't count. And that's where you get them, is that as long as it's not about them, they use it as a weapon. But when they do that, and like I said, fortunately, I haven't run across that. I've lived my life since I've had my surgery and everything without any issues. I'm just seen as a bloody big Irish woman, though I am 38% Irish and 32% Scot. So I am Gaelic through and through. No, that wasn't Gaelic. Okay. What other questions?
Well, for me, you look more Scottish than Irish, and I thought you were Scots through and through. I'm Irish Italian, so but I really thought Scots. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have about 6 minutes or so left on this session. There's a couple more questions in the transition area. I think we might be able to get through one or most of one. And if we don't, if we run out, I'll just create a new Zoom session.
Okay.
And then, so the remaining question in this section, Drew, if you were finished with your follow-up questions and you felt like that was good, okay. So Emma, the remaining questions are just around, what did it feel like to finally start that process of becoming Emma, becoming yourself? Things like going out and shopping for your first outfit and wearing, your clothes outside of your home, and any other experiences that you want to touch on. It's a big question we might not be able to cover in 5 minutes, but have a start on it and we'll carry on in session 3 if we need to.
Well, yeah, because I'm not one of those guys who can speak very, very fast. Uh, but yeah, well, that was kind of interesting. I remember I used to, at the time, I was living in an apartment building over here in Fall River, and I would go to the parking lot and change my clothes. Because the parking lot at that time of night was usually deserted. So I would change my clothes and everything, and then I would go to whatever meeting I was going to, whether it was the meeting in Providence or going down to talk to the UU Church in Newport. And it just, once I was able to settle in, and once I, like had my surgery and everything, the complication was that my second wife still was out to destroy me. And, I still had to deal with that. But on the other hand, once I started dressing as me, I took it to the new level. So I got involved with First Event, which was a transgender event that took place. It used to be in Marlboro, but they moved it to, I think, at Park Place or something like that up in Boston. But I was doing the fashion shows. There's pictures of me on the runway and everything. And, I got very involved with all of that. And my wife at the time actually helped me by sewing Swarovski crystal on one of my red dresses so that it had that little extra sparkle. And I mean, she was involved. And then all of a sudden she decided that she got tired of the farm and everything, and she was going to sell it. And, that was the end of that. So I don't know. But yeah, to go from having to change in a parking lot to being able to just dress as I felt like whenever I wanted, it's just amazing. I mean, now the question is, do I want to wear a dress today, or do I want to wear jeans and, a top? And I have a lot of clothes. I have my um my girlfriend is building a larger closet for me. She's got one for her that's a small one, and then she sectioned out this big section just for my closet. because she knows I have so many clothes because of, doing the modeling and stuff. So I mean, and jewelry, I've got jewelry up. Oh, I got so much jewelry. Because I was also doing modeling for Swarovski. So the lady set me up with my site Sparkle with Lady Emma, and I would model pieces of jewelry that I had, and show the different sets and everything. So I went from having to worry about, whether somebody'd see me in a parking lot to being I don't want to say a fashion icon or something, but, you know, but still, just being able to, um, just being able to be free to be me. And I think that is the most important thing.
Do you have any regrets about deciding to just give up um, what the world wants you to be and become yourself?
No, no. I have no regrets about what I've done. And I had to leave it up to um, the powers that be, whatever that power may be, whether it's the creator, whether it's Tunkashila or whatever, you know, Buddha, whoever. But basically, I've decided to rather than fight the flow, I'm just going with the flow as best I can so that, um, which ended up bringing Pauline into my life. And, you know, um, she's shown me a lot. Um, and I just, I feel true love, um, for once in my life, you know, other times it's always felt like there's like that nagging feeling in the back that, that you were being played or you were being used or you're being, you know, and for once, this is a person that is loving me unconditionally. And I get it that, you know, part of it is because I reached out to her and showed that I'm willing to learn sign language and everything so that I can communicate with her on her level so that I will, do what I can. And as a matter of fact, I ordered a thing so I could do my oop, B, C, so I can do all the signs and everything. I know that there's a few that I've missed, like S. I always end up doing that because I just can't remember what S is. But you know, I know U, V, W, X, X. I'm learning, you know, and why. And I learned, let me see, plane. So I'm learning different things from her and everything. And we've gone for long walks. There's a walk that you can take. Um, they call it the railway walk or something like that. And you can see the old line that used to be where the railroad tracks were and everything. But they've just basically made it into a bike and hiking path so that, and it's paved. The whole thing is paved. So, we can just walk up and down that and everything. So, there's just so many different things that we can do together and everything. And I really want to move up there. So, I just want to spend my life with her and everything. But, I still have to get out of where I am. So, but did I answer that question? I might have wanted.
You did. You did answer it.
Okay. Okay.
Michelle, do you want to take the next question or do you want me to do it? Okay. What do you say to people online or in person when you face hatred and discrimination and they say you're not real? You're not who you say you are. How do you handle that and what do you say to them?
First of all, I've never heard that. Nobody has said that to me, and nobody dares to say that to me because I'm 5'11" and 230 pounds, and I was trained by the military. So they're not going to give me an issue. But for the most part, I haven't really had any issues, and I've walked all over the city. I mean, I could switch to my Fitbit and give you the grand total, but I'm at like over 2 million steps. I have walked everywhere in the city. And a lot of times I'll walk places just because, you know, um, I usually will do this walk that's like 3,000 steps. And I'll do that a few times a day. And, you know, there's only been one time in all that time that I've been doing this. And I think I bought my Fitbit in 2020. And I think there's only been one time where I was accosted. And it wasn't, it was, guy was trying to hit on me. Why? I don't know. But the guy was trying to hit on me. And he was saying, all these nights, oh God, you're beautiful and everything. And I just had to turn around and see you and everything. And then he goes, want to see my, yeah. No, I don't. I'm a proper lady. So, but that's the only instance where I've had any issue with anybody. And I've walked, like I've said, I've walked all over the city. And I've never had any issues where anybody was ever antagonistic towards me. So that that's just not where I'm at. And even then, I've got stickers on my car that show that I'm a mama bear. And I've got the two little cubs, the um, transgender cub and the LGBT cub. And I've got those stickers on my car along with the HRC sticker to show people that I'm HRC is Human Rights Commission. I saw your question. But they I've got the symbols out there to show that I'm supportive. And even on my web page, on my Facebook page, it says, I'm a person that you can come out to. And, this, I've put it out there and I've been very public about everything. And I purposely have done that over and over and over again because I felt that it was something that needed to be done. I needed to work to inform and educate and, try to bring about acceptance.
I have a follow-up question, if I may, on that, which
No.
is, okay, I think you're gonna like, I hope you like this question, because as you were describing your height and your weight and your military training and how you feel strong and confident in who you are and your ability to walk anywhere in your city. One of the questions that I asked one of the other interviewees was just around my own experience as a woman and as a girl growing up, feeling very vulnerable and weak, and often wishing that I had those characteristics that you just described, an imposing height and weight and training so that I could feel safe. And so my question for you, Emma, is around that feeling or that balance of, hypothetically, if you were ever in a situation where you felt threatened, how do you think you would handle it? Would you not hesitate to throw on your superhero cape and just protect yourself and show those people what's coming to them? I guess, and also at the same point, knowing that you're now outwardly expressing who you have always known that you have been inside, Emma. Does it ever make you feel more vulnerable now that you're truly you? So I leave that series of questions with you because I truly want to know, and I struggle with my own perceived weakness and as a woman.
I have written articles on that too. I think one was Awaken the Warrior or something like that. And basically it was about calling upon your inner strengths to summon that part of you that is strong. We to go back to the original question, she left us. Oh God. To go back to the original question, I guess because I lived my life so long as a male that I learned not to be intimidated. But on the other hand, I was always beaten when I was a kid and always intimidated and always, I lived such a life of violence when I was a kid. But I chose to rise above it and I chose to be strong. And I know it can be hard at times because we do feel vulnerable at times. And there are times when I have felt vulnerable, but I don't give in to it. And what would I do if I was accosted in such a way? I don't know yet. I fortunately have not had that situation, so I haven't had to, sorry, convert that. So I, that's probably a hard question to respond to. I want to, and like I said, I did um, write a few articles where I basically was telling, people that they've got to embrace that warrior that's inside them and everything, and not let people take advantage of them or bully them. And I think they're strong words, but you know, how would I react in reality? I don't know. I Fortunately, I've not been in that situation because I've always been seen fully as a woman. And I think having 46 C's helps, but um sorry, but I think also my stature and everything also lends to people not wanting to just come up to me and accost me. But on the other hand, I've always been accepted as a woman, straight up, no question. And I've had gentlemen open doors for me and stuff like that. And I had one gentleman, I was at a store in Middleborough, and he looked at me, he says, "Are you 6'2"? Eyes are blue?" And I said, "If you break into song right now." And he laughed, I laughed, and we just went about our day and everything. And it was just it was great in that he accepted that I was a rather tall woman. Um, and sometimes it's posturing. Sometimes we can be um, we can either be defensive or we can be offensive. And when I say offensive, I'm not saying that we smell or anything like that, but but we can take the situation, twist it, and you have the option where you can either allow the situation to unfold and maybe put yourself in peril or get yourself out of the situation, walk away. You know, I did that a lot of times when I was a kid, and a lot of times I got beat up and everything. And, it was just, I mean, it wasn't as bad as for Arthur, um, a guy I went to school with in junior high. They used to tease him and call him Martha. Um, and, it just, kids can be cruel, but adults can be cruel too. And the only thing I try to do is educate and inform. And if you're around me when that's transpiring, I will intercede because, I have that ability to do that.
I think
So, I do try to take that whole mama bear thing to heart.
I think that's a great answer, Emma. You've known vulnerability as a child in an environment that was violent and um, not very nurturing, and so you've known that vulnerability. You haven't known it as Emma, but you have known it, so you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And you don't have to have an answer for the hypothetical. That was maybe an unfair question, but it does help me see that we all know vulnerability in some capacity, and we all have choices to make around how we the risks that we take and what we do and how we show up in this life. And being authentic means so much more than means just so much, period. And yeah, thank you for that insight and that answer. It kind of, I didn't intend it as I asked this question, but our next question is what it's like a little bit of a segue. What do you want to say to people who say to you that you're choosing this life, you're choosing to transition, that you didn't have to? What would you like to say to them?
They're irrelevant. And I don't mean it to be cruel, but their opinion of me and what I do, I don't own that. They own that. And if they choose to be that way towards me, then I can choose to ignore them, to walk away, to do, so many different things. We always have options, and we can accept the abuse, we can accept the bullying, we can accept the unacceptance, or we can walk away. And, like I told Pauline, I says, your family is now my family. And I told her that, you know, my heart will always be hers. You know, and this is the way I live my life. And it may not be common, it may not be, the way other people live their lives, but for me, this is the way I have to live. I always have to live with an open heart, and I always have to live in accepting other people and their walks on life because, like I said before, there are many paths up the mountain. And, you know, I can't choose your path. You have to choose your path. You have to embrace whatever it is, wherever you are, and just be you and be the best you that you can be. And that is all I can ask, and all that anybody can ask of you. And never, never let somebody else bully you into being someone you're not.
You truly inspire me. And as a person who's non-binary, gender fluid, and still struggles with um, on days being trapped in this body, um, and how the world perceives it and perceives me at first glance. Um, I still get angry, though I don't blow up or I don't make, comments, or I am not harsh to anybody about it. Um, I I walk away, but hearing you speak every time helps me remember to that it doesn't matter what they see, and it doesn't matter how they perceive me, and it doesn't matter um, their opinions, and it's how I feel and how um, I emote how I feel. And thank you, because it really does help me. So we are at our last question.
Can I just interject? To piggyback on what Drew just said, and then just before we move to the next question, Emma, as you were just speaking now, I got shivers with your words around choices, and I feel like you're a cool older sister, like giving me advice that's good for any human on this planet. So thank you. Go ahead, Drew.
Agreed. So our last question is, what was still is, the hardest part of your journey? And it could be at any time in the beginning, or in the middle, now, or future. What do you feel has been the most difficult?
I think the most difficult was with my second wife, and it was mostly because she tried to destroy me mentally, besides financially. And the thing is that that's on her. No matter what, it's still on that other person. It's not on me. I was just trying to be me. And because of ignorance and hatred, and especially because she was deeply Roman Catholic, so that added to the fire. So just the whole idea, it always comes back to, you can't allow someone else to dictate who you are. You always have to be true to yourself, because if you're not honoring yourself, then you can end up going down a dark path that you don't want to travel. You always have to be true to yourself and be open and honest with yourself. And just love.
So you've chosen to not let the hardest part of your journey define you forevermore, and you've put it behind you, and you've chosen love and light instead of darkness and bitterness. And that is so wise and so mature, and yeah, you're just pretty awesome. I loved our interview. I loved our previous chats too, Emma, and I have learned and continue to learn so much from you. And so I will do my best to make this into, just to like put the little finishing touches onto it, make it nice so that you can share it with your people, and we will share it within our group. Drew yesterday said it so well. How did you say it, Drew? We want to help the members in our group just sort of see a little bit of you, and know that each of our members are very diverse and very unique, and to just like learn that there's no one definition of a lesbian, like that there are many of us who walk this path together. Drew, you said it so much better. I just butchered that.
Could remember what I said, but
Okay.
I do not. I wish
It's okay.
But I will say that for me, and I have said this to every trans man and every trans woman that I ever get the honor of meeting. If anybody deserved the title of woman, it is you all, and more so than somebody born, because everything that you guys have to go through and deal with and experience in this world, for people who think that you guys are not real women, what else would you be other than who you say you are? Because I don't see people lining up down the street if they don't feel and know who they are, to have all of this put on them, lose relationships, lose friends and family and potential spouses, job opportunities, and all of this hate and discrimination that can come with it, just because they want to. So people who are born female just are born into it, and they don't realize what gift they have been given. And I just honor you and thank you so much for being a part of this, and thank you for helping me grow.
You're welcome.
That's kind of it for our interview. I do have a follow-up question for you, Drew, in that you have said so many deep and beautiful things in response to Emma's comments, or as part of a context for follow-up questions. So I wondered, as I'm editing this, and I know we've talked about focusing on Emma's words and video, it's going to be hard to edit that out, and I know we have different versions of it, and I just wanted you to know that I think that your perspective and life experience is just so valuable as well in this, and I just love participating in these conversations with both of you. And anyway, so thank you for that, and we can chat later about what it'll look like. I've got some editing to do. We've got about 7 minutes left here, so yeah, I guess next up for me, it's 6:00 p.m. here, and I'm ready for dinner. It's 8:00 for Drew. Emma, are you at 8:00 as well? In Central or Eastern time?
No, I'm in. Yeah, it's 8:00. Yeah.
Okay. So that in my world is bedtime. I've been going to bed at 7:30 or 8:00 all week and all weekend. As we move into fall and it starts getting dark, I'm just like a child. I'm like, it's bedtime.
Yep.
There's Zoom meeting for admin stuff, so I need to go ahead and jump on that. I'm so grateful that you're a part of this, and if Michelle doesn't already have the links to your blogs and stuff, make sure that she gets them so we can add them.
Yep.
My other ask was, and they might be in your blog, was around some modeling photos from you. All right. If I just think that would be so stunning to be featured as part